Welcome to the Carlton Draft halftime break, and joining me, Malcolm Blight. Great to have you along, Malcolm. First time for 2010.
It's great to be here again, Michael. What an interesting day in footy.
Well, what an interesting night it was last night. Collingwood versus St Kilda, but we'll get to all the news from that game in just a moment. But a great game at the MCG. At halftime, the Bombers holding sway by 10 points. Mark Williams, good to see him amongst the goals. He's got a couple. Simpson a couple for Carlton. Lovett Murray leading the possessions for Essendon. Simpson and Carazzo for the Blues. But it's been an intriguing game. Lots of mistakes, but lots of free-flowing football.
Yeah, look, it's been an entertaining game, and Reema's there getting a goal early there for Essendon, and a great jump from Gumbleton. Fantastic mark.
Yes, he's the one that they expect to rise to great heights, Scott Gumbleton. So showing us a bit of his talent there. And of course, the other game being played tonight in Sydney, the Swans in complete control. 52 points their lead at half-time. Richmond a pitiful 1-8. Bradshaw, McGlynn again amongst the goals with 2 goals each.
Look, what else can you say? The scoreboard says it all, doesn't it? And I guess Daniel Bradshaw getting a couple of goals there, that'll do his confidence some good, and here he is. And, Michael, that's his 500th.
The 48th player in VFL, AFL history to kick 500 goals. So well done to Daniel Bradshaw in what's been a very, very good, very impressive Sydney in the first half. And we watched this game this afternoon at Etihad Stadium. North Melbourne getting over the line by 25 points. Anthony and Hale, 3 each for North. Mark Lacroix, the standout for West Coast, with 5 goals. But, gee, what a performance from Brent Harvey. 44 disposals. He kicked the goal. He kicked the point of the century, which we'll watch later in the 5th quarter. But a great comeback by North. After you pasted them last week.
No, I didn't paste them. I just gave them some advice. There's a difference. An opinion and advice. Brent Harvey played, we all know he played poorly, but like the champ is, he bounced back, and that was just fantastic to see. What a wonderful game.
And Brisbane, well, gee, they continue to play some impressive football. They beat Port Adelaide pretty easily at Amy Stadium. Jonathan Brown 4, five. Sherman 4, and Favola chipping in with 3 goals. Warren Treadray kicked 3 for Port Adelaide. But some concerns for Brisbane out of the match with 2 reports. First one, Mitch Clark here.
Oh.
Is he in trouble on Jackson Trengove?
I'm sorry, but he is. I mean, you can't do that at any stage of the football season. And
this is an interesting one, isn't it?
Have a look at
Ashley McGrath, hands in the face on Cameron Cloak.
It's a bit hard to tell there, but looked as though he got his hand either got caught in his mouth or he was doing it. Well, you'll have to defend that one too.
Absolutely, and Chris Jodd we saw suspended at the end of last year. Got to get to a break though, but after the break, all the news out of the big game last night at Etihad Stadium, the injury update on Nick Riewoldt, and also some more on the quarter-time stoush. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the Carlton Draft halftime break. Time for our Brute Big Hits of the Week. And what about this? Shannon Hearn, Malcolm. Was he lucky to only get 2?
It looks bad. Always looks worse in slow motion, but it was a high one, and the other lad did go down. So, yeah, look, I reckon he was pretty lucky with 2.
All right, and what about this out of Easter Monday? 4 suspensions. Quite incredible.
Yeah, there we go. And that was Shields. Scarlett the first one. Here's Mooney's. And the last one, Osborne just collecting Selwood, and all 1 weekers. Yeah,
a bit lucky some of those, I reckon. And what about this last night? Some friendly fire. Lenny Hayes into Stephen King. The result, a badly broken nose.
What a player he is, Lenny Hayes. No
Great
fear.
Courage.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic effort by the Saints last night. There is the bloody Lenny Hayes coming from the ground, part of our Brute Big Hits tonight. And with that, let's cross to the offices of the Herald Sun and say a very good evening to John Ralph. John, what a game it was last night. We'll get to Nick Riewoldt in just a moment, but lots of news today filtering through about the quarter-time stoush. Tell us what happened.
Well, boys, an extraordinary day of events, and basically open warfare breaking out between St Kilda and Collingwood over these insults of a deeply personal nature, or allegations of them, towards Stephen Milne from Alan Didak and also Mick Malthouse, the coach. Now, today, those developments. Ross Lyon, the St Kilda coach, said they would fight this all the way if they had to get justice for Milne. He said it was totally out of line for an AFL coach to sledge a player. And Nick Maxwell, the Collingwood captain, said that Milne was the worst sledger in the AFL, so he should accept those sort of things. And Collingwood's Eddie Maguire said sleeping dogs should be let to lie, considering Nick Riewoldt's form on this substance. So so many developments. It's going to keep kicking on for a couple of days yet.
Have they lodged an official complaint, St Kilda, at this point?
We've spoken to them in the last few hours. They say it's likely to be tomorrow morning. You'd think that this case would be referred to the tribunal by the match review panel, or the other option is that the AFL might come in themselves and launch an investigation, perhaps with Brett Clothier, who is their integrity manager. That's probably a pretty likely course of action.
Now, John, Nick Riewoldt went for scans today.
He did. Not great news for him, but it wasn't the worst case scenario. Now, a significant hamstring tear is what St Kilda called it, and he'll be certainly out for a significant amount of time. Now, you'd think that'd be about 8 to 10 weeks. Clearly, he's such an endurance athlete and such an incredible machine that they won't want to rush him back. They'll be cautious with it. If he gets back before the split round, you think that'd be a pretty good option for him. They're going to have to win a lot of games without him to try and get into that top 4.
Yeah, bad injury to the captain, no question about that. And John, what about this afternoon at Etihad Stadium? The phone's being used at three-quarter time. Nick Naitanui and Dean Cox, never seen it before. What are the implications of that?
Oh, extraordinary footage, this, guys. Now, these boys were apparently talking to Simon Eastaugh, the Fremantle ruck coach, who was back in Perth. Now, John Worsfold was a bit petulant about it after the match, but certainly this will be a please explain from the AFL, and they'll be hit with a fine. There is nothing surer. The new betting provisions means that the AFL's really tightened this up. Mobile phones are absolutely out of bounds. 5 or 10 grand, maybe even more.
Good on you, John. Thanks very much for that. We'll catch you later in the 5th quarter.
Thanks, boys.
John Ralph joining us there from the offices of the Herald Sun. And looking forward to this, Malcolm. 1 week at a time, 7:30 Monday. Special guest Wayne Carey filling in for Robert Walls. Great to have Wayne Carey on the show, along with North Melbourne coach Brad Scott, who I reckon will be feeling pretty happy about himself with the big win today. Back in just a moment to the MCG. Don't forget to join us later in the 5th quarter. It's the Bombers by 10.